And welcome into another episode of the CK Nation post-game show. Matt, George Leo Beas with you, and we're here with a happy theme tonight as the Sacramento Kings. It looked like it was going to be doom and gloom early on, but they come back thanks to a phenomenal third quarter. They get the win over the Minnesota Timberwolves here in the Golden One Center, 106-103 the final, and bring a lot of momentum with them onto this big road trip that they're about to go on. Before we jump into anything, Leo, just your initial thoughts on tonight's game.
I've said this before. You live and die by the jump shot. And that's what happened to the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight.
The Minnesota Timberwolves were shooting an unreal percentage early on. Zach LaVine could not miss. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Zach LaVine could not miss from three-point range. Andrew Wiggins was going off. I think they were shooting 61% at halftime, and we're shooting all the way through 50% through the third and fourth quarter. That's because they had such a good first half that even when they tailed off in the second half, their percentage was so good it just continued to be up. But the Kings, just a phenomenal third quarter. And just to give you an idea, at halftime, they trailed 65-54. They brought it to within 8 right before the half, and then the Timberwolves scored a few more points, managed to take an 11-point lead into the locker room. The Kings come out in the third quarter, and they outscore Minnesota 31-12. Minnesota only scored 7 points in the first 9 minutes of that third quarter. The defense all of a sudden showed up. Minnesota could not hit a shot. They were missing all the shots that they were making in the early going. You had to figure their shooting was going to peter out at some point, and the Kings took advantage. Their scoring went off, and they ended up finishing the third quarter up 85-77.
Matt Barnes has a lot to do with that, Matt. I was wrong, and I'm going to say it right now. I remember the day they signed him. I was getting out of church. I was getting off church, and I saw the text, the Kings just signed Matt Barnes. And I was thinking to myself, why would they do that? But now I know why they did that, because this guy is a warrior on the court, and he will go to war for Coach Joerger and for all of his teammates, Matt.
There's no mistaking that players hate going up against Matt Barnes, and a lot of times they end up clashing with him, but they love having him as a teammate, and you can tell because he goes to war every time he gets on the court. He backs you up, and he's battling through a couple injuries. His ankle's bothering him, and his rib is giving him a lot of problems. He's fighting through that pain, and he ended up, what I think, and I think you agree, being the difference maker here tonight. He took over facilitating the offense, finished with 9 assists, just did all that he needed to do. Had a couple, I think 2 threes in the span of 1 minute that really got that run going for the Kings in the third quarter. He just was everywhere tonight. Also made a lot of good defensive plays and helped shut down Wiggins there in that third quarter. Barnes was just everywhere tonight.
He was, Matt, and I'm just very happy that he's back home and he's doing it in front of the best fans in the NBA. This building was rocking tonight, and I have to admit it. Last game, they were loud, but tonight they were extra loud.
Well, we and the fans weren't the only ones that paid attention to what Matt Barnes did. His players, or his teammates, I should say, gave him a lot of props for his game, but especially head coach Dave Joerger. He had something to say about Mr. Matt Barnes. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, there's a level of experience there, and certainly guys very confident in him that, he'll always have their back, and, getting us organized. Helps me because our point guards are all new to this too. So he, with his knowledge of what we're trying to do, can, our point guards are trying to get, turned, and they've got good defenders. Rubio and Dunn are both good defenders, and Matt's able to be a coach out on the floor and tell them where to get to.
So Joerger, high praises for Mr. Barnes, and well earned. Matt did a phenomenal job. Another guy that I want to touch on really quick, because I have just been wickedly impressed by him through these first 3 games for one reason alone: confidence, and that's Ben McLemore. Night and day difference with this guy, and it's just because of confidence. You can see the guy knows where he's supposed to be. He's comfortable in a system, and he knows that, hey, even if I miss this shot, I'm okay putting it up because that's my role. That's what I need to do. This is the first time we've seen that out of Ben in his career, and boy, is it a welcome sight. He turned in 13 points off the bench tonight.
I have never seen him miss a shot, and then the Kings get the rebound. Tolliver gives him the shot, or the pass to him, and he takes a shot again, and this time he makes it from the corner from right here.
Yeah.
And I was thinking to myself, man, this guy is extremely confident, and it's a great sight to see, man.
Yeah, that play literally happened right here behind us, and last season or 2 seasons ago, he would have missed that shot, and his head would have been drooped, and he would have been all the way back here towards half court. Exactly, and he would not have been willing to get back into that play. He does. He knocks down the second 3. He was also another reason why the Kings were able to go on that stretch in the third quarter. We asked him in the locker room what his thoughts were on his game and what he's been doing to help bring his confidence up, and here's what he had to say.
Can't explain. I mean, I worked really hard this summer to build that, and Coach Joerger and his staff and my teammates, doing a great job of continuing to believe in me and building my confidence and constantly pushing me every day.
So Ben McLemore really seeming to come into his own. He talked about how hard he worked over the summer, and it was funny initially when we asked him, the first thing he said was, I don't really know what I'm doing different, because to him, his game has always been there, and he's always known that he can do it. I just don't think he's known that he could do it here or at this level, and so far he has, and he's finally finding his niche on the team for the first time in his career, and that's got to feel good if you're Ben McLemore.
He's always been talented. He's always been a guy that has had athleticism, a perfect form in the shot, but the shot just hasn't fell, and that's because of confidence. And I feel like Dave Joerger and the coaching staff and his teammates are giving them the green light to just keep shooting the ball. One, because it's his last year on this contract, and he knows that if he doesn't perform well, he might be out the league.
And it really is a full team effort in this win tonight, because everybody stepped in and made a contribution. When a couple of people struggled, other players went and picked them up. I mean, you look at the starting lineup, how bad of a start they really got off to. Cousins scored a couple of buckets, but they just looked out of sync, out of shape. They were getting destroyed on the defensive and offensive side of the ball. They just couldn't get anything going. Coach Joerger actually, I think 6 minutes into the game, did a whole platoon swap and subbed all 5 members of his rotation into the game and replaced all 5 of his starters. That didn't exactly help things, but it didn't hurt it as much as they were going downhill in the early going. So really, it was good to see a full team effort, and I like the fact that Joerger was willing to say, I don't care if you're DeMarcus Cousins, I don't care if you're Rudy Gay, it's not working right now, I'm going to these guys because I need a spark.
And I said that last game, I said, if Rudy Gay doesn't play defense, he will get benched, because you have Omar Caspi, who played tonight, who had a little bit of injury and gave this team what they needed. Right. And you have Matt Barnes, who is going to give it to you every single night. It doesn't matter if he's hurt or if he's not hurt, Matt.
And it's going to be a while until we're in this building, as the Kings are about to go on a long Eastern Conference road trip. We can expect them back here. I think it's November 8th or 9th. It's one of those two. They will be back in this building, so we'll have to wait a while to see. But one of the things Coach Joerger talked about in his press conferences, he talked about how much of a difference it is going on that long road trip, 2-1 versus 1-2. The difference is only one game, but the confidence that the Kings are bringing onto the plane, they leave at 11 o'clock tomorrow, the confidence that they're bringing with them, Costa Kufos mentioned it off camera to both of us, it makes a world of difference, and you could tell just by the interaction of the players in the locker room, the difference is astounding, and I expect that to have an effect on the play in Atlanta when they take on the Hawks on Halloween.
And that's Monday?
Yeah, Monday on Halloween. It's the Atlanta Hawks and the Sacramento Kings.
Well, it's going to be nice to watch DeMarcus Cousins go up against Dwight Howard again, and this time in a setting where both, I feel like, are playing well early on in the season. So we'll see what happens. I feel like DeMarcus Cousins is just playing out of his mind this season. Just on little plays like how he just spins and then he just finishes. This Team USA offseason really helped him out, Matt, and it's showing early on.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, he's still the beast that he's always been, but he seems to be thinking a little bit more and just seems to be smarter. In the early going, he was forcing things a little bit too much, and I made a note of that in my live tweeting on Twitter, but he definitely kind of pulled that back, and what helped was Joerger taking him out of the game.
And one more thing that I said during my live tweeting was, after every timeout, he goes and he talks to the refs, and he's not arguing. He's agreeing. He literally got to the floor, and he was like this. And, those are signs that he's trying to clean up this reputation that has killed him throughout his first 6 years in the league.
Well, he did pick up his first technical foul tonight.
Wait, he went like this?
He did. He was smiles and thumbs up towards the crowd. Yeah, no, he knows. Well, and the refs gave him a lot longer leash than we're used to seeing. He, in 2 years ago, or maybe even last season, he would have gotten that within the first 30 seconds, but it took about a good 2.5 minutes before he got that technical. He earned it. I think he wanted it. He wanted to send that message. The only thing I was expecting was Matt Barnes to jump in there and stop him from getting the technical so Matt Barnes could take the tee for him. That's just the kind of teammate that Matt Barnes is. I mean, he was everywhere else on the floor. Why not expect him to do that? The Sacramento Kings, for some reason, they've struggled notoriously against Eastern Conference opponents, even though the East is considered, and it is, a lot worse than the Western Conference.
But they've gotten a lot better.
Oh, absolutely.
Last season.
Well, the West has retooled, and so has the Eastern Conference. I mean, both conferences have only gotten better. Some teams have gotten worse, but for the most part, the talent is up. And the Atlanta Hawks are one of those teams where it's kind of on the fence to see whether they've added talent or not. I mean, yes, they've got Dwight Howard, but they lost Al Horford. Is that really an improvement? We don't really know. For namesake, it might be. But it'll be interesting to see really how well the Sacramento Kings do on this road trip, because they have a chance to, my goal if I'm the Kings, shoot for 500. If you can bring a 500 record after this road trip home with you back for when the home games really start to pick up towards the middle and end of November, this team could be in a really, really good spot come the end of the year.
I've told people this: have patience, believe in the process, and remember that this team is pretty much new. They have to build that team chemistry, and it's not going to happen overnight. So give them time, guys.
But you got to take it a game at a time. And right now we're going to hand out our performance of the game and the play of the game, which was Rudy Gay, and one that really sparked the crowd towards the end. You should be seeing it on your screen now as we're saying it. Just a phenomenal play. There were a lot. It was really hard to choose from, but that one in particular really got the crowd going. Our performance of the night, you and I both agreed, even though Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins had monster games in the scoring column, it's got to be Matt Barnes, just for what he did, and whether or not the stats reflect it. I mean, the 9 assists are great, but it's the little things and the leadership that he provided that really got the Kings out of their funk in that third quarter. So I think he deserves all the props in the world.
Absolutely, I agree.
So that'll do it for us. It's going to be a long time until you see us in this setting again. However, you can join us for the Cowbell Kingdom podcast, which makes its return next week, and we'll talk about tonight's game, the first 3 games of the season, more in detail. Also preview the road trip coming up, so we look forward to having you join us for that. But as for right now, for Leo Beas, my name is Matt George. Thank you so much for listening and watching the CK Nation postgame show live from Golden One Center. The Kings beat the Timberwolves 106-103.
Hi, I'm Leo Beas. Thanks for watching. It means a lot, guys. If you want the latest news in Sacramento, hit the subscribe button below. I'll be waiting.